Williams defends Butler. A bump, the grind, the gyration, and the two in the foul.
And they're having words. Look at this.
That. Nose to nose.
Yeah.
Eye to eye.
Dude, what are you doing? So yeah, here we are with the Miami Heat up 2-0. Going back to Miami, which is obviously not where a lot of people thought the series was going, but it was the way that it happened that has a lot of people worried about the Boston Celtics, so that's what we're going to be talking about today. But real quick, I just want to say that yes, I know I have been gone for a long time. If you subscribed from the Redemption documentary, then I apologize for the lack of content. I can explain everything, and I will have a stream on Twitch sometime within the next few days if you're seeing this on the day that it's uploaded. Basically just going over everything that's been going on throughout the last 8 or 9 months, really, because if you've been subscribed for that long, then you know how inconsistent my upload schedule has been, and I can explain that. So if that is indeed something that you care about, then that's where that will be happening. But if you don't, then just disregard this, I guess. But of course, you can still go watch the documentary if you have not seen it already. But anyway, on to this game, which was a roller coaster, for lack of a better word, because it seems like every time the Celtics have this team on the ropes, they just find a way to get back into it. Although that's been the story of this Miami Heat team the entire playoffs. Every time they seem like they're out, they find a way. And it was evident pretty early on in the game. The Celtics started out with a pretty substantial run in the first and second quarter. I think it was a 17-2 run, and the Heat responded with their own similar run to get right back into it, and they actually went into halftime with the lead. I was watching this game on playback with Dom2K, and I was basically just saying, like, the fact that the Celtics went on that insane run and they still found themselves down at halftime should be concerning. Obviously turned out to be true, and the thing that led to the Celtics collapse in the second quarter was mainly just carelessness. They had a bunch of turnovers, which was the story for the entire game. Marcus Smart had a couple of turnovers that didn't even make sense. He was literally throwing passes into double coverage at times. There was one pass that he threw in that second quarter where it was like, I don't even know what he saw, because there was no way that the pass was even gonna get through. But what that run also showed us is the Heat's ability to just find scoring from anyone on the roster. Tonight it was Caleb Martin, which anytime there was a run, it was usually started by Caleb Martin. In that second quarter, I believe he scored 8 straight points or 7 straight points or something like that to get the run started, and then obviously the Heat just never looked back. Caleb Martin finished with 25 points on 11 for 16 shooting, and like I said before, almost all of those points were instrumental in the Heat winning this game, because it was pretty much all part of runs that were keeping the Heat alive. But the Celtics did end up fighting back and taking the lead again in the third quarter, which then led to another run started by Caleb Martin, and this was the one that would prove to be the nail in the coffin, because Jaylen Brown is a hilarious basketball player. To say that he had a bad game tonight would be an understatement. He shot 7 for 23. Whether he was on the floor or not would pretty much dictate which team was on the run, because it seemed like every time the Celtics subbed him out, the Celtics went on a run, and every time he subbed back in, the Heat would go on a run. He was a minus 24 in a 6-point loss. That doesn't even make sense for a player that has as much responsibility on this team as he does. And down the stretch, it was more of just Jaylen Brown being Jaylen Brown. He took triple contested shots. There was one play with like 8 minutes left, I think I have it on the screen now, where he went 1-on-5 with 19 on the shot clock. Everybody else on the floor is open, and he took the shot over all 5 people. And then there was another play with about 4 minutes left where he did the same thing over 3 people, and it was just like, it was insane to see. He had a couple of bad turnovers in this game also. He had one of those stupid unforced travels at the start of the fourth quarter where you go before you dribble, or the shuffle of the feet, and that was kind of what started the fourth quarter Miami run. But you might be asking, okay, where was Jason Tatum then, if Jaylen Brown had that type of game? Jason Tatum had a pretty good game, I would say. He had 34 points, 13 rebounds, shot 50%. The only really criticism that you can have on the game that he had tonight was that he didn't shoot as much in the fourth quarter. He was 0 for 3, but a lot of that was due to the fact that Miami was playing a zone on him, and they were pretty much forcing the ball out of his hands every play. They were basically saying, we're not going to let Jason Tatum beat us. We're going to let other people beat us. And so that was the game plan, and obviously it worked out. Jason Tatum only took 3 shots in the fourth quarter, and they were all contested threes, so they did a pretty good job on him down the stretch. But another factor that led to the Miami Heat winning Game 2 was Grant Williams.
Smaller guys on the floor, and he did just that. And Peyton Pritchard didn't even do bad, but it's just like, why were we not playing? Let's get that. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I don't know why Grant Williams speaking to him like that.
I'm not too sure what has gotten into him this season. You had the moment earlier this season with Donovan Mitchell where he said, I'm gonna make both of them, referring to his free throw attempts at the end of the game, which he would go on to miss both of them, and Boston would go on to lose that game, which instantly became a meme. And now you have this moment where he hits a three in Jimmy Butler's face and talks the entire way down the court, while Jimmy Butler just smiles at him, and then he comes down and hits an and one floater over him, and they get in each other's faces. Now, this is really weird because I feel like if almost every fan watching knows that this is a bad idea, that you should know that this is a bad idea, but I guess Grant Williams knew something that we didn't. So you have that play, and what would happen next was one of the craziest things I've ever seen. So every single time down the floor after this, Jimmy Butler would just ask for a switch that would put Grant Williams on him, and they literally cleared out that entire side of the floor for him to operate. And he scored on him, I'm not kidding, I think 3 of the next 5 times down the floor.
Hey, can we just trap, bro?
They're literally putting the whole side of the court.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
They're smoking like fucking stars.
Turnover in the last 10 minutes.
Come set this pick. Come set this pick. We want it back.
Oh my god.
No.
Oh,
This is nasty.
oh my
You gotta go to Taiwan.
No.
You gotta go to Taiwan after that.
all while screaming he can't guard me while running back on defense, because it's just classic Jimmy. And overall, they just look like they wanted it more than the Celtics, which sort of brings me back to the Marcus Smart quote from the end of game 1, where he basically said, well, he didn't basically, he said word for word, we get tired of doing the little things sometimes, which is not something that you should ever hear from a team competing for a championship, but yet that's the reality that we find ourselves in. So you have this team now down 0-2, having lost both of their home games, going to Miami to try to tie this series up. I have no idea what this means, because I feel like I have to look at the series in a vacuum, because there's nothing about this Miami Heat team that you can relate to the regular season. Like, the regular season Miami Heat have no bearing on this conversation whatsoever. I feel like we're just going in blind. I do think that Boston can get a game, whether it's game 3 or 4, I don't know. If it's game 4 and they're down 3-0, then my God, we are gonna have to have some conversations about 1, Jimmy Butler, and 2, Eric Spoelstra, although we're already having those conversations. He's clearly the best coach in the NBA at this moment in time, and he is severely out-coaching Joe Mazzulla with just timeout management, counters, and overall game plan, things like that. It's very clear that Spoelstra has just been the superior coach throughout this entire series so far, and really just every series that the Heat have been in. One thing I do know is that the Boston Celtics are really in trouble right now. The Heat are just outworking the Celtics because they didn't really shoot that insane. They shot 35% from 3 compared to the Celtics 29. They shot 46% compared to the Celtics 47. Although the advantage this game was rebounding. The Celtics shot 79 shots. The Heat shot 13 more shots than the Celtics, and that was due to the offensive rebounding. Now, like I said before, I have no idea what's gonna happen in this series because there's nothing to reference with this Miami Heat team. But if they are able to keep this up with how they've won games 1 and 2, which is basically just going on runs and being able to slow the Celtics offense down, then this series is going to get a lot scarier. But with all that being said, I want to know what you guys think. Do you think the Miami Heat are going to become just the second 8 seed in league history to make the NBA Finals? Or do you think the Celtics can possibly come back to Boston with the series tied? I want to know what you think. But with all that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Subscribe if you're new. Hit the bell to be notified when I upload. Comment down below what you want to see next. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next one.